She married a dying millionaire for money. But the truth on their wedding night shocked her. Hello everyone. Before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It's quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let's dive into today's story. She thought she would marry a dying millionaire, but on wedding night, everything changed. It was a chilly evening when Emma found herself stepping into the restaurant, her heart racing with a mix of excitement and nerves. She had been on countless blind dates before, but none had felt as significant as this one. Jenny, her best friend, had told her he was different, a little reserved, but someone special. As she walked in, the soft hum of conversation and the clinking of silverware filled the air. The lighting was warm, casting a glow on the polished floor and creating an intimate atmosphere. Emma took a deep breath. She had nothing to lose. Her reflection in the glass doors told her otherwise. Her second-hand dress, scuffed shoes, and the tightness in her chest made her feel out of place. She could hardly believe she was about to meet someone she was supposed to spend her evening with. Jenny's words echoed in her mind. Asterisk, you'll love him. Trust me. Asterisk, her nerves tightened as she scanned the room, looking for the familiar face. Her heart skipped a beat when her eyes landed on a sharply dressed man sitting alone at a table near the back, his dark hair neatly styled and his attention fixed on his phone. That had to be him, she thought, approaching him with a bright, forced smile. Hi, you must be Kevin. I'm Emma. Nice to meet you. The man looked up, startled. His eyes widened slightly, as if confused. Hi Emma, he said, his voice low and uncertain. Emma misread his hesitation as shyness and smiled nervously as she slid into the seat across from him. Her hands fidgeted with her napkin, but she kept her gaze locked on him, trying to make the best of the awkward situation. I know this is weird, but blind dates are always a little awkward, right? She laughed nervously, trying to break the ice. Jenny said you might be a little quiet, so don't worry. I can talk enough for both of us. Liam's smile flickered for a moment before he leaned back in his chair, still looking at her with a mix of curiosity and amusement. He wasn't sure what had possessed him to let her sit down in the first place, but there was something about her genuine smile that made him hesitate. He wasn't used to this, to someone so unpolished, so real. Right, blind dates are something else, he said softly, his tone almost reluctant. They sat in silence for a moment before Emma, eager to fill the void, continued. Tell me about yourself. What do you do? I work in tech, Liam said, his voice careful, but something in the way he said it made Emma wonder if he was hiding more than he let on. Tech? That's cool, she said, trying to mask her ignorance. Like coding apps and stuff? I'm terrible with computers. Liam chuckled, his expression softening. Something like that, he replied. The conversation seemed to flow from there. Emma found herself laughing at his dry humor, feeling more at ease despite the earlier tension. They exchanged stories about their lives, Emma sharing tales of her shifts at the diner, her struggles with paying rent, and her dream of one day opening her own art studio. She didn't expect to feel this comfortable with a stranger, especially not after the initial awkwardness. Liam, however, couldn't shake the feeling that she was nothing like the women he usually met, polished, poised, and calculated. Emma was genuine, raw even, and for the first time in a long while, Liam felt drawn to someone not because of her looks or status, but because of her warmth. Just as the conversation began to settle into a more relaxed rhythm, Emma's phone buzzed. She glanced down at the screen, her face falling slightly as she read the message. Hey Emma, where are you? I'm at table 7. Looking forward to meeting you, Kevin. Her heart sank as she realized the mistake. Oh my God, she muttered, looking up at Liam with a flushed face. I'm so sorry. You're not Kevin, are you? Liam's smile faltered, and he shook his head, a guilty look crossing his face. No, I'm not, he said quietly. Emma's stomach churned with embarrassment. She stood up abruptly, her face burning as she grabbed her coat. I'm so sorry. I thought you were someone else. I'll just go. Before Liam could say anything, she rushed out of the restaurant, her heart pounding in her chest. He watched her go, a strange feeling stirring inside him. Why did it bother him so much to see her leave? After rushing out of the restaurant, Emma felt her heart pounding in her chest as she walked quickly down the street. She couldn't believe what had just happened. She had sat at the wrong table, and now she was running away in embarrassment. She didn't even look back, not wanting to see the confused expression on the man's face. She felt like an idiot, but what could she do? The reality was, she had just made a complete fool of herself. What had she been thinking? Meeting someone new, sitting at the wrong table, and then thinking he was someone else. But still, there was something about him. She couldn't quite put her finger on it, but the way he had looked at her, like he wasn't just focused on her mistakes, left her feeling oddly comforted despite the awkwardness of the situation. It had been so long since she had felt that way, since before life had gotten so hard. But who was she kidding? She didn't belong in his world. He was likely some rich guy who had no real interest in someone like her. Maybe that was why she had been so nervous. Her shoes were scuffed, her dress was secondhand, and here she was running away from a chance to connect with someone. She wasn't used to this feeling, but life had never given her many chances. Walking down the sidewalk, she pulled her jacket tighter around her body, trying to shield herself from the biting cold. She could already feel the weight of the day's struggles pressing on her again. Rent was due, and she didn't have enough saved to cover it. Her dreams of opening her own art studio seemed more like a fantasy every day. She just didn't see how anything would ever change. As she reached her small apartment, she could already hear Jenny's voice in her head, teasing her about what had happened. She didn't need that right now. But as she walked into the apartment, the weight of the evening felt heavy on her shoulders. She tossed her jacket on the couch and collapsed onto the bed, letting out a deep sigh. Maybe it wasn't meant to be. But then, her phone buzzed. She picked it up, half expecting it to be a message from Jenny asking where she had gone. Instead, it was from an unknown number. Her heart skipped a beat when she saw the message. "Hi, Emma. It's Liam. I know the situation was a bit awkward earlier, but I'd really like to see you again. Coffee sometime." Emma stared at the screen for a long moment, her mind racing. Was this a joke? Had she really just read that right? Was he really asking her out after all that? She couldn't believe it. She quickly typed back, unsure if her hands were shaking from nerves or disbelief. Coffee sounds nice." When Liam replied almost immediately, "How about tomorrow morning? I know a quiet place we could meet." Emma's heart raced even faster. Was this real? Did he really want to meet again after what had happened? She told herself not to overthink it, but her mind wouldn't stop spinning. The next morning, she stood in front of the coffee shop, waiting. She was a bundle of nerves. She smoothed out her shirt, checked her phone, and kept glancing at the door, wondering if she had made a huge mistake. Then, she saw him. He walked in casually, dressed in a soft gray sweater and jeans, looking completely different from the man she had seen the night before. He smiled when he saw her, his expression warm. "Hey, Emma," he said, walking over to the table. "Thanks for agreeing to meet me." Emma felt a strange wave of relief wash over her as he took a seat. There was no awkwardness this time. It was just two people talking, and for the first time in a while, Emma felt at ease. They talked about everything, about her life, her dreams, her struggles. She told him about the diner, the art studio she hoped to one day open, and how hard it had been to make ends meet. She could see him listening, really listening, something she hadn't experienced in a long time. "You have a lot of passion," Liam said quietly after she finished talking about her art. "I think that's incredible." Emma smiled, her nerves starting to ease as she shared more of her life with him. She had almost forgotten how good it felt to open up to someone. But still, a small part of her couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't quite right. What was his real story? Was he just being polite, or was there something more to him than he had let on? As the conversation flowed, Emma couldn't help but glance at his eyes, noticing how intensely he was looking at her. She had almost forgotten how good it felt to be seen by someone. The coffee was warm, the conversation easy, and for the first time in a while, Emma felt like she could breathe. But as they finished their drinks, the conversation shifted. "So," Liam began, his tone serious but gentle, "I have to admit something. I wasn't totally upfront with you the other night." Emma's stomach dropped. Was this it? Was he about to tell her he was just messing with her? "I'm not Kevin," he continued, and Emma's heart skipped. "But I'm also not just someone who works in tech." Emma felt a wave of confusion hit her. Was he about to tell her he was married? Was this some kind of prank? She waited for him to explain further, trying to calm the storm in her head. Emma's mind was racing as Liam's words hung in the air. She stared at him, trying to process what he had just said. "You're not Kevin?" she asked, her voice trembling. Liam shook his head slowly, a small smile playing on his lips. "No, I'm not Kevin," he said softly. "But I'm also not just someone who works in tech." Emma's heart skipped a beat, confusion flooding her thoughts. She tried to make sense of what he was saying. Was he a businessman? A lawyer? Why had he not told her this from the beginning? "What do you mean?" she asked cautiously, her voice barely above a whisper. Liam's smile softened, and he took a deep breath. "I've been a little deceptive," he admitted. "I'm not just any tech guy. I'm Liam Parker, CEO of Parker Technologies." Emma's eyes widened, the shock taking over her body. She blinked, as if trying to clear her vision. The man sitting across from her wasn't just a random stranger. He was a millionaire, a CEO. She had been talking to him like he was any ordinary guy, completely unaware of who he really was. "I didn't want to tell you this way, but I felt it was important you knew the truth," Liam continued, his voice gentle. Emma's mind was spinning. She had no idea what to say. All she could do was stare at him, feeling the weight of the situation sink in. "I didn't want to lead you on or make you think I was just another guy playing games," Liam added, his tone sincere. Emma was silent for a long moment, her thoughts swirling. She had never imagined this situation would play out like this. She had thought he was just some quiet guy at a blind date, and now everything was different. "I don't know what to say," Emma finally whispered, her voice shaking. I just met you, and now you're telling me you're a CEO?" Liam nodded slowly, a look of understanding in his eyes. "I know it's a lot to take in, but I wanted to be honest with you. I liked our time together, and I didn't want you to think it was all some kind of setup." Emma felt a knot form in her stomach. She didn't know how to react. A part of her wanted to run away, to tell him that she didn't belong in his world. She wasn't rich. She wasn't important. She was just a waitress trying to make ends meet, dreaming of a better life. She had no place with someone like him. "I didn't ask for this," Emma said softly, her voice barely audible. "I didn't ask to be a part of this world." Liam leaned forward, his expression softening. "You're not just a part of this world because of your status, Emma. You're part of this world because of who you are. Your kindness, your honesty, that's what matters." Emma blinked, feeling a strange warmth spread through her chest. His words were so different from what she expected. She had been bracing herself for some kind of rejection, for him to tell her that she wasn't good enough for him. But instead, he was saying things that made her feel seen, heard. For the first time in a long time, she felt like maybe, just maybe, she was worth something. "But I'm not like you," she said, her voice trembling. "I'm just a waitress, a nobody. How could someone like you be interested in me?" Liam looked at her with soft, steady eyes. "Emma, it's not about what you do. It's about who you are. And who you are is incredible." Emma felt a lump form in her throat. Was this real? Was he being genuine, or was this some kind of joke? She had no way of knowing for sure, but something about the way he looked at her made her believe him. She couldn't explain it, but she trusted him. The conversation shifted after that. They talked for hours, moving past the awkwardness and getting to know each other on a deeper level. Emma shared her dreams of opening her own art studio one day, and Liam listened intently, encouraging her every step of the way. It was as if the weight of her worries had been lifted, and she found herself opening up in a way she never thought possible. By the time they finished their coffee, the morning light was beginning to filter in through the windows, casting a warm glow over the room. "I'd really like to see you again," Liam said, his voice sincere. Emma smiled softly, the tension in her body easing. "I'd like that too," she replied, feeling a sense of calm wash over her. As they said their goodbyes, Emma couldn't help but feel a little lighter. She wasn't sure where this would go, but she knew one thing for sure. She had just met someone who saw her for who she truly was, not for her job, her past, or her struggles. And for the first time in a long time, that felt like enough. Over the next few weeks, Emma and Liam began to see more of each other. At first, it felt like a strange dream. She was just a waitress from a small town, and he was a tech CEO, a millionaire with a world that seemed so far removed from her own. Yet, when they were together, all those differences seemed to fade away. They spent time at cafes, took long walks through the park, and even visited art galleries where Emma could share her passion for painting. Liam, for his part, showed genuine interest in her work, asking questions and offering encouragement, something Emma wasn't used to receiving from anyone, especially not from someone like him. One evening, after another long day at the diner, Emma walked home, her head buzzing with thoughts of Liam. He had invited her to another dinner, and she couldn't help but feel nervous. The way he looked at her, the way he listened, made her wonder if this could be something more than just a fleeting connection. When she arrived at her small apartment, she checked her phone and saw a message from him. "I know it's a bit last minute, but I wanted to ask if you'd like to join me for a charity event this weekend. It's for a cause I'm really passionate about. I'd love for you to be there with me." Emma stared at the screen, her heart racing. A charity event? It felt so out of place, so far beyond the world she had known. But something inside her urged her to go, to step out of her comfort zone for once. "I'd love to," she replied, her fingers shaking slightly as she typed. The day of the event came, and Emma stood in front of her mirror, feeling both excited and nervous. She didn't have anything extravagant to wear, just a simple black dress she had picked up on sale a few months ago. But it was the best she had, and she decided to make the most of it. As she stepped into the venue, her nerves hit her again. The event was held at an upscale hotel, the kind of place she had never imagined setting foot in. People in elegant suits and gowns filled the room, their conversations punctuated by soft laughter and the clinking of champagne glasses. She felt completely out of place, a fish out of water. But as soon as she saw Liam, standing by the stage, talking to a group of people, her nerves eased a little. He waved her over, and she made her way through the crowd, her heart pounding in her chest. When he saw her, his face lit up, and he made his way toward her. "Emma," he said with a smile, his voice warm and inviting. "I'm so glad you could make it." "I almost didn't," she admitted, laughing nervously. "This is all so fancy." "You look beautiful," he said, his eyes soft as he looked at her. Emma blushed, feeling both flattered and a little embarrassed. She had never felt out of place in front of anyone like she did now, but Liam's kindness made her feel at ease. As the evening went on, Emma began to relax. She wasn't just a guest at some fancy event. She was here because Liam wanted her to be there. They shared stories, laughter, and even danced a little. Emma felt the warmth of the room, the kindness of Liam, and for the first time in a long time, she felt like she belonged somewhere. As the night progressed, the event took a more serious turn. Liam stood up to give a speech, and Emma watched him with admiration. His voice was steady and confident as he spoke about the charity, about the people they were helping, and the difference they were making in the world. But it was when he mentioned the people who had touched his life that Emma's heart skipped a beat. "There are people in this world who make us better," Liam said, his eyes scanning the room. "People who help us find our way, who remind us that the world isn't all about money or success. It's about kindness, it's about love, and it's about those moments when you connect with someone who truly understands you." Emma's breath caught in her throat. Was he talking about her? Did he see her the way she saw him? After the speech, Liam came to find her again, his expression thoughtful. "I'm glad you came tonight," he said, his voice low and sincere. "You're part of something bigger than just yourself, Emma. I hope you know that." She felt her heart swell with emotion as she looked at him. There was something about him, something so genuine and real that it made her want to take a leap of faith. Maybe this wasn't just a dream. Maybe, just maybe, she was meant to be here with him. As the night ended and they said their goodbyes, Emma walked out of the venue feeling lighter than she had in years. She had come to the event unsure of herself, unsure of her place in Liam's world. But now, she was starting to believe that maybe she had a place there after all. Maybe she wasn't just a waitress, a girl from nowhere. Maybe she was someone worth noticing. And maybe, just maybe, Liam was the person who had been sent to help her see that. Over the next few days, Emma couldn't stop thinking about the charity event and Liam's words. "You're part of something bigger than just yourself," he had said, and those words kept echoing in her mind. She had never felt like she was part of something important, but Liam made her feel like maybe she was, like maybe her dreams weren't so out of reach after all. It was early in the morning when Emma found herself walking to the diner, her thoughts still occupied by Liam. He had reached out to her again, suggesting they meet for coffee the next weekend, and she couldn't help but feel a mix of excitement and nervousness. Was she really ready for this? For whatever was happening between them? As she entered the diner, she noticed Jenny sitting at their usual booth, waving her over. "You're late," Jenny teased, giving her a knowing look. I was expecting you an hour ago. What's the deal? You've been acting different lately. Emma slid into the seat across from her, still feeling a little on edge. I don't know, she replied, her voice quiet. Something about this. With Liam, I don't know if it's real. He's a CEO, Jenny. He lives in a completely different world from mine. I don't even know if I belong there. Jenny raised an eyebrow, leaning forward. Emma, if you're thinking about backing out because of the guy's money or status, I'll tell you this right now. That's a mistake. You deserve someone who sees you. All of you, not just your job. You deserve someone who cares. Emma's heart softened at her friend's words, but a part of her still couldn't shake the doubts. Was this just a fling for Liam? Was she just another girl to him? Another passing moment in his world of luxury? I don't know if I can keep doing this, Emma confessed. What if I'm just holding him back? Jenny shook her head, her expression serious. Listen to me, Emma. If Liam really cares about you, he won't care about where you come from or what you do. He cares about who you are. But you need to give it a chance. Don't run away from something that could be good for you. Don't be afraid of what you deserve. Emma stayed quiet for a while, letting her words sink in. She had always been afraid to dream big, afraid to hope for something better than what she had. But Jenny was right. She deserved more than just a life of survival. She deserved to be loved, to be seen for who she truly was. That afternoon, Emma decided to take a leap of faith. She texted Liam, agreeing to meet him for coffee. The next Saturday, they met at a small cafe on the corner of a quiet street. Liam was already there when Emma arrived, sitting at a table by the window. When he saw her, his face lit up with that familiar, gentle smile, and Emma's heart fluttered. Hey, you made it, Liam said, standing up to greet her. I'm glad you came. Emma smiled, feeling a little shy. I'm glad too, she said, sitting down across from him. For the next hour, they talked about everything, about her art, about his work, about the things that mattered most to them. There was no pretense, no need to impress each other. It was just two people connecting, sharing pieces of their lives. But as the conversation went on, Emma began to feel something stir inside her. Something she hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. She could see how much Liam cared, how he listened to her dreams, and encouraged her without hesitation. She didn't feel judged or small in his presence. She felt like an equal, like someone who mattered. As they finished their coffee, Liam looked at her, his expression soft. You know, he said slowly, I've been thinking a lot about us. About what this could be. Emma felt her heart skip a beat. Was he about to say something she wasn't ready to hear? I'm not going anywhere, Emma, Liam continued, his voice steady. I want to be here with you. I want to support you, help you build whatever it is you want. I know this is all moving fast, but I think we have something special. Emma's breath caught in her throat. She had always been afraid to believe in things like this, to believe that someone like Liam could truly care for someone like her. But in that moment, everything shifted. She didn't need to be afraid anymore. She could feel it. This was real. I want that too, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. I don't know what the future holds, but I'm willing to see where this goes. Liam smiled, his eyes full of warmth and tenderness. Me too, he said softly. The next few months flew by in a blur of shared experiences, quiet moments, and big dreams. Emma's art began to flourish as Liam supported her in ways she never imagined possible. He didn't just believe in her talent. He encouraged it, celebrated it. As for Emma, she started to believe in herself more, in the possibility of a future filled with love, creativity, and success. She had spent so much of her life doubting her worth, but now, with Liam by her side, she was starting to see that she was worth everything she had ever dreamed of. And as they stood together on a quiet evening, gazing out at the city lights, Emma knew this was just the beginning. She wasn't just a waitress anymore. She was a woman who had found her place in the world. And for the first time in a long time, she knew she deserved it. As the weeks passed, Emma and Liam's relationship grew stronger, and it felt like the world around her was slowly shifting. For the first time in a long time, Emma felt like she was living a life she had always dreamed of, but never thought possible. Liam had become more than just someone she met by chance. He had become someone she could rely on, someone who believed in her, even when she struggled to believe in herself. She spent more time with him, exploring the world of art and creativity he had opened up for her, and in return, she helped him rediscover the joy of simplicity and honesty. They had moments of quiet dinners at home, long walks through the city, and even spontaneous trips to local galleries. But despite all the happiness, there was still something lingering in Emma's heart: doubt. She couldn't help but wonder if she was truly worthy of the life Liam was offering her. The man she was falling in love with had everything: wealth, power, success. But did he need someone like her? A waitress with dreams, but no solid foundation. Every time they shared a beautiful moment, a voice in the back of her mind reminded her that she didn't belong in his world. One evening, as they sat in a cozy little restaurant, Emma found herself lost in thought, her fingers tracing the rim of her glass as she listened to Liam talk about his latest business venture. He was so passionate, so driven, and she admired him for it. But her insecurities began to creep in again. She couldn't shake the feeling that she was just along for the ride, that eventually, Liam would realize she wasn't the woman he deserved. As the conversation paused, Liam noticed the shift in her mood. "Emma, what's going on?" he asked gently, his eyes searching hers for any sign of what was bothering her. She hesitated, unsure whether to voice the fear that had been gnawing at her for days. Finally, she spoke, her voice barely above a whisper. "I'm afraid. I'm afraid that I'm not enough for you. You've given me everything I've ever wanted, but I don't know if I can give you the same." Liam reached across the table, gently taking her hand in his. "Emma," he said softly, "you don't have to give me anything to prove your worth. Just being with me, being yourself, that's enough. I don't need anything from you except your honesty, your kindness, and your love." Emma felt a lump form in her throat. It was so simple, so pure, and yet so hard for her to accept. She had always thought that love had to come with some sort of exchange, that she had to earn it, that she wasn't deserving of it unless she had something to offer in return. But Liam was showing her something different. He wasn't asking for anything but her presence in his life. That night, as they walked back to her apartment, Emma felt the weight of her worries slowly lifting. She still didn't know what the future held for them, but for the first time in a long time, she felt like she was finally living a life she could be proud of. Liam had shown her that love wasn't about what she could give, but about what they shared. The moments of laughter, the quiet walks, the understanding. As they stood outside her apartment door, Liam kissed her gently on the forehead. "I want to be with you, Emma. Not because of anything you can give me, but because of who you are. I love you." Emma's heart fluttered in her chest as she looked up at him. She never thought she would hear those words from someone like him, and for a moment, she was afraid to believe it. But she did. She believed him. And in that moment, she realized that she wasn't just a waitress, a girl from a small town with big dreams. She was someone worthy of love, someone who deserved to be happy. She leaned into him, wrapping her arms around his waist, and whispered back, "I love you too, Liam." The next few months were filled with new opportunities and new challenges. Emma's art began to gain recognition, and she was even able to rent a small studio space to work in. Liam continued to support her, not with his wealth or connections, but with his belief in her and her talent. He encouraged her to push herself, to take risks, and she did. Slowly, Emma started to feel like she was living the life she had always imagined. She wasn't just surviving, she was thriving. And with Liam by her side, she knew that anything was possible. One evening, as they stood together in the gallery where Emma's latest exhibition was being held, she felt a sense of peace settle over her. The room was filled with people admiring her work, and for the first time, Emma felt truly proud of what she had accomplished. She had built something on her own, something that was hers. And as she looked at Liam, standing next to her, smiling with pride, she knew that this was just the beginning. They had a future together, a future filled with love, creativity, and possibilities. And for the first time in her life, Emma believed she was ready for it. As Emma's art continued to gain recognition, things between her and Liam only seemed to grow deeper. They had settled into a comfortable rhythm together, and though Emma's doubts occasionally crept in, she felt more at peace than ever before. She had a supportive partner in Liam, and for the first time in her life, she truly believed that anything was possible. But life, as it often does, threw them an unexpected challenge. One afternoon, after finishing a new painting in her studio, Emma's phone buzzed with a message from Liam. "Can we talk tonight? I'll be home early." Her heart skipped a beat. It wasn't like Liam to be cryptic, and she immediately felt a wave of unease. She tried to push the feeling away, reminding herself that it could be nothing, that he was probably just caught up in work. But the minutes seemed to drag on as she anxiously awaited his return. That evening, as the sun began to set, Liam walked through the door, his face more serious than she had ever seen it. Emma immediately stood up, her pulse quickening. "Liam, what's going on?" she asked, trying to sound calm, but her voice betrayed her. He took a deep breath and sat down across from her. "There's something I need to tell you," he began, his tone heavy. Emma felt a lump form in her throat. "What is it?" she asked, her voice trembling. Liam's eyes softened as he looked at her. "Emma, I've been offered a major job opportunity," he said slowly. "It's a huge promotion, leading a new project overseas. The company wants me to relocate. It's an incredible opportunity, and I know it's what I've worked for, but—" He trailed off, clearly unsure how to continue. Emma's heart sank as the words hit her. Relocate? Oversee a project overseas? The thought of him being far away felt like a cold weight pressing down on her chest. "But what does that mean for us?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Liam looked down, struggling to find the right words. "I don't want to make any decisions without you, Emma. I want to be with you. I've never wanted anything more, but this job, it's the next step in my career. I can't turn it down, but I don't want to lose what we have either." Emma sat in stunned silence, her mind spinning. She knew how important this opportunity was for him. She knew how much Liam had worked to get to where he was, and she didn't want to stand in the way of his success. But at the same time, the thought of him leaving, of their relationship changing so drastically, terrified her. "I don't want to lose you either," Emma said quietly, the weight of her own words sinking in. "But I don't know if I can handle you being so far away. I've barely started believing that I deserve a future with you, and now this." She felt a tear slip down her cheek, but she quickly wiped it away. "I don't know what to do, Liam." Liam stood up and walked over to her, taking her hands in his. "I'm not asking you to have all the answers right now," he said softly. "I just want you to know that I'll do whatever it takes to make this work. If you want to come with me, if you want to make a life together there, I'm in. If you need me to stay, I'll stay. I'm not going anywhere unless it's with you." Emma felt a mix of relief and fear wash over her. The choice was in her hands now, and she wasn't sure if she was ready to make it. She had dreamed of a life with Liam, a life full of love and possibility. But was she willing to take that leap? Was she ready to leave everything behind and follow him? To step into a new life she hadn't imagined? "I need some time," she said softly, squeezing his hands. "I don't know what the right choice is yet." Liam nodded, understanding. "Take all the time you need. I'm not going anywhere, Emma. I'm right here. We'll figure this out together." As he kissed her forehead, Emma realized something. For the first time in her life, she wasn't alone. She had someone who truly cared about her, someone who was willing to fight for their future. She didn't know what the future would bring, but with Liam by her side, she knew they could face anything. The decision wasn't going to be easy, but she also knew that whatever she chose, she wouldn't be making it alone. As the days passed, Emma found herself reflecting on her past, her dreams, and the life she wanted to build. She had always been afraid to take risks, to trust that things could work out. But now, with Liam, she realized that maybe it was time to stop living in fear of what could go wrong and start believing in what could go right. Maybe it was time to take that leap of faith. She looked at Liam one last time as he smiled at her, waiting patiently for her decision. She had made her choice. It was time to step into the future, together. The days after their conversation were a whirlwind for Emma. She had spent hours thinking about everything, about the love she shared with Liam, the future they had begun to build together, and the huge decision that loomed over her. Part of her wanted to stay in her comfort zone, to continue living her life in the small apartment, working at the diner, and chasing after her dream of an art studio in a place she knew. But another part of her, the part she hadn't listened to in years, was urging her to take a chance, to follow Liam, and build a new life in a completely different world. The idea of leaving everything behind terrified her, but it also filled her with a strange sense of excitement. For the first time in a long time, Emma felt like she had the power to choose her destiny. Liam had already told her that he would wait for her decision, that he wasn't going anywhere, but the truth was that Emma knew deep down that this wasn't just about him. It was about her. She had spent so much time doubting her worth, thinking that she wasn't good enough for anyone, let alone someone like Liam. But now, she was starting to realize that she had just as much to offer as anyone else. She was strong, passionate, and capable of so much more than she had ever given herself credit for. The next week, Emma decided it was time to stop running from her fears. She had to make a choice. She couldn't keep living in the past, holding on to the life she knew, afraid of what the future might bring. She needed to take that leap of faith. She needed to trust herself and trust Liam, that they could make it work, no matter where they were. As she stood in front of the mirror that morning, looking at her reflection, she felt a calmness settle over her. She knew what she had to do. She grabbed her phone, dialed Liam's number, and waited as it rang. When he picked up, his voice was warm, as always. "Hey, Emma. What's up?" "I've made my decision," she said, her voice steady but filled with emotion. "I want to be with you. I want to take that chance. I want to start a new life with you." There was a pause on the other end of the line, and Emma held her breath, waiting for his response. When Liam spoke, his voice was filled with relief and joy. "Are you sure?" he asked softly. "I'm sure," she replied, her heart racing. "I'm ready for this. I want to be with you, Liam, wherever that takes us." A smile spread across Liam's face, and Emma could almost hear it through the phone. "I'm so happy, Emma. You have no idea." The excitement in his voice made Emma's heart soar. "Thank you," she whispered, feeling tears prick at her eyes. "Thank you for believing in me." "Always," Liam said. "We're in this together. I promise you." Later that week, Emma packed up her things, saying goodbye to her apartment and the life she had known for so long. It wasn't easy, but it felt right. She was leaving behind the old version of herself, the one who was afraid to take risks, afraid to dream big. In its place, she was embracing the woman she was becoming, brave, hopeful, and full of love. Liam helped her with the move, and as they loaded up the last of her belongings into the car, he gave her a reassuring smile. "We're doing this," he said, his voice full of excitement. "We're starting something new." Emma smiled back at him, feeling a sense of peace wash over her. She had no idea what the future would hold, but she knew that as long as they were together, they could face anything. The drive to the new city was long, but it gave Emma plenty of time to reflect. She watched the scenery change as they passed through different towns and highways, her mind racing with all the possibilities that lay ahead. For the first time in a long time, she wasn't worried. She wasn't afraid. She was ready. When they finally arrived, Liam took her to a small apartment in the heart of the city, just a few blocks from his office. It was cozy and modern, with large windows that let in plenty of natural light. "This is it," Liam said, smiling as he opened the door. "Our new home." Emma stepped inside, her eyes wide with awe. It wasn't just a place to live. It felt like a fresh start, a new chapter in their lives. She looked at Liam, and he looked back at her with the same warmth and love that had drawn her to him in the first place. "I think this is exactly where we're meant to be," Emma said softly, her heart swelling with happiness. Liam nodded, pulling her into a gentle hug. "I couldn't agree more." As they stood there in the new apartment, holding each other close, Emma knew that this was just the beginning. They had a long road ahead of them, but she was no longer afraid. With Liam by her side, she was ready to face whatever came next, knowing that they were building something real, something lasting. And for the first time in her life, Emma felt like she had truly found home. The months that followed their move were filled with new experiences, challenges, and growth. Emma threw herself into her art with a passion she hadn't felt before, inspired by the fresh environment and the support she had from Liam. She rented a small studio space downtown, a place where she could focus on her craft, away from the distractions of the world. Liam, on the other hand, was thriving in his career as well. His new project was a huge success, and he was constantly busy with work, but he always made time for Emma. They balanced their individual goals with the shared vision of a future together. It wasn't always easy. There were moments when Emma felt overwhelmed by the hustle and bustle of the city, by the pressure of her own dreams, and the expectations of Liam's world. There were times when she doubted herself, wondering if she was doing enough, if she was living up to the promise of a life she had never imagined. But each time those doubts crept in, Liam was there to remind her of her worth. "You're doing more than enough," he would say, his voice soft and reassuring. "Your art is incredible. You're incredible." His belief in her became her strength, and she pushed through the tough times, knowing that she had someone by her side who truly saw her. As the months passed, Emma's art began to gain more recognition. She was invited to showcase her work at galleries and exhibitions, and with each new opportunity, her confidence grew. She was no longer just the waitress with a dream. She was an artist, someone who had found her place in the world. And Liam, her rock, was always there, supporting her every step of the way. One evening, after a successful exhibition opening, Emma and Liam walked through the city streets, hand in hand. The cool night air wrapped around them as they made their way to a small park near their apartment. "This is it," Liam said, stopping in the middle of the path and looking at Emma with a soft smile. "You've come so far, Emma. I'm so proud of you." Emma looked up at him, her heart swelling with love. "I couldn't have done it without you," she replied, squeezing his hand. "You helped me believe in myself. You showed me that I could do this." Liam smiled and pulled her close. "You always had it in you. I just helped you see it." The park was quiet, the only sound being the rustling of leaves in the trees above them. It was in this peaceful moment that Emma realized how far she had come. She had taken a leap of faith, left her old life behind, and embraced the unknown. And in doing so, she had found everything she had been searching for: love, purpose, and a sense of belonging. As they stood there, wrapped in each other's arms, Emma knew that this was only the beginning. The life they had started together was just a foundation for the many adventures and experiences that awaited them. There would be more challenges, more moments of uncertainty, but Emma had come to understand something important. No matter what came their way, they would face it together. And with that thought in her heart, she kissed Liam gently on the lips, knowing that the future was theirs to build. From that moment on, Emma stopped doubting herself. She stopped wondering if she was enough, because she knew she was. She had found her place in Liam's world, and more importantly, she had found her place in the world she was creating for herself. She wasn't just the girl with a dream anymore. She was a woman who had turned that dream into reality. And as she and Liam walked hand in hand back to their apartment, Emma felt more at peace than she ever had before. The future was bright, and she was ready to face it, one step at a time, with the man she loved by her side.